All right, episode 3, Booligans Podcast. We're going to recap last week's picks, go through our locks and whatnot, and then look ahead to this next coming week. Or I guess this week. So first, let's look back at last week. We got our college football picks. Connor had a nice 4-1 record. Me and Steve 2-3. NFL, we all kind of sucked. So I guess Cam's 4-3 is not terrible. I sucked real bad, but my lock was nice.
Yeah, Miami dominated for me. I think that made the difference in college football, and would have hit my NFL lock. Colts were driving down the field, 2.5 minutes left. Richardson was taking over. Said, "I'll do it myself." Got a first down on the 5-yard line because no one was open. He just scrambled, and then the next play, exact same play, he gets tackled on the 2, leaves the game. Gardner Minshew got a penalty, got a fresh set of downs, couldn't score from the 2 to cover. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going game by game in the recap, but there's a lot of wild finishes in our college picks there. And the Bears fucking suck, so they fucked me on there. But the Packers still blow. So if you're listening, kiss my ass.
And no, I don't have a slide of like the games that we picked. So if you want to mention something, you can.
Nah.
I mean, I think the highlight was the Utah, the guy getting pushed into the end zone to help cover, which was an all-time moment. All right. Sneeze's Tidbits went 4-5, and his Super Dog was 1-0, which you love to see that last one there.
Yeah, they won with ease.
Yeah. I don't think it was even a sweat. All right, our hot take tracker. Kenny Pickett, 28 plus passing TDs. He's got 1 through 1 game. It's not on pace. He needs to pick it up. I'll say I think this is in big trouble too, losing Deontay. So he doesn't. He was probably his best receiver there. So
what's the injury?
I don't know specifically, but I think I saw something he's going to be out like 4 weeks. He's listed as doubtful right now, and I hate that about ESPN. Like, just make him out. Like, they say he's gonna be out 4 weeks, make him out so I can put him in the IR and pick up somebody else.
Yeah, well, whenever you have so many people in the IR like I do, then it doesn't really matter.
All right, yours was Green Bay 0-7. Love out, Clifford in. Packers won the first game, so the 0-7 is dead.
I'm changing it to 1-6 because they won the most winnable game that was on their first 7 weeks, so congrats, but they're losing the next 6.
Yeah, well, it's extinguished, so. All right, and then Saints, NFC 1 seed for me. They won their first game, good start. It's hot.
It's hot?
Yeah, it's hot. It's hot. They got Carolina, I think, this week, so good chance to go 2-0.
Hot. I could give you warm maybe, but hot already?
I don't know if we want to wait for this, or I guess we can give our input on each pick first and then come back to them. Or
is he MIA?
Yeah, he's gone.
I don't know if we can pause and you edit it out. If not, we just roll on.
Yeah, let's just go. All right, first game, LSU -9.5 at Mississippi State. You can lead us off.
Well, let me grab my notes out, but I'm taking Mississippi State plus 9.5, which, I'd like to do 10 if it was me. But let me see. Mississippi State, they're going to have the cowbells rolling. LSU, disappointing week 1. And last week they played like Southern or something and blew them out, but it's Southern. Mississippi State, I think, can hang in. I don't think they'll win for sure. But I think they can hang within 9.5 or 10. They're going to play for the ghost of Mike Leach, so I'm taking the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm going the other way. I agree. I hate this line. I don't know. I don't like it at all. But Mississippi State didn't impress me then in overtime last week to get by Arizona.
Pac-12 is not bad.
Well, I mean, still. So I'll take LSU minus 9.5. I just think they're the better team. They should be able to score. I guess we can keep rolling and come back if he wants to. All right, number 8, Washington, minus 16.5 at Michigan State.
I don't know why, but I'm going to take Sparty. It just seems like a big number. I guess it's in East Lansing, and their coach is fired, but he's not fired. He's only suspended. But I read his apology letter, and I'm on board with him 100%. If she didn't like the phone sex with him, she should have just hung up the phone. So I'm on board with Sparty here, and I'm taking the 16.5, and I'll take them, the green and white.
What's the story here? I'm unaware.
So Mel Tucker, apparently he had like some chick on his staff, and he was already married. But anyways, I guess they're having like marital problems, whatever. And then he kind of got this relationship going with this staff chick, and they were like on opposite ends of the country, and they were doing like this long distance relationship between Mel Tucker and this chick. And then, like she was sending him, or he was sending her like money on Venmo, and she was accepting it, and like he was getting shoes for her and shit like that. Anyways, they were having phone intercourse one night, and then that's what she complained about or whatever. And then something about he was saying that, well, if she didn't like it, then she would have hung up the phone at the very least or whatever. He had this like whole 2-page apology letter, and I'm backing him. So.
And that's suspension worthy for being
fired? Well, you know how they are with their their Title IX, whatever. But I guess we'll see what happens. He'll probably end up getting canned, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm also taking Sparty plus 16.5. I mean, it's a lot of points, and they're at home. Basically, it comes down to it's a lot of points. So give me Sparty plus 16.5.
And the Pac-12's got to cool off at some point in time, right?
Sure. All right, number 11, Tennessee, minus 6.5 at Florida.
So with this, I have more to come on this as well, but I believe the number is Tennessee has not won in Gainesville since like 2003, which by my count is 20 years ago. But I feel like there's a paradigm shift going between these two where Florida's going to be the new Tennessee in terms of the team that they always think they're good, but they always are shitty. And then Tennessee's, a solid program year after year. I think they're kind of flipping. So, I that's why I'm going with Tennessee. Florida, I don't think they're that great. Their quarterback kind of blows. Their transfer from like Wisconsin or whatever. The thing that does scare me is, Teebs, you're like this. Last week, Tennessee played Austin Peay, and Tennessee only beat Austin Peay by 17. But the week previous, the Salukis played Austin Peay and they beat them by like 27 or whatever. So the margin of victory against the Salukis was higher. Anyways, regardless,
Salukis, they just beat Northern Illinois. I think they're like back-to-back years now they've beaten a D1 school. So
go Dogs. Yeah, well, if you call Northwestern and NIU D1, but anyways, they are. So anyways, and then this does kind of scare me because it's a night game in the swamp, and it's probably gonna be warm still because it's September, which it always is warm in Gainesville, I'm sure. But regardless, I'm just thinking that Tennessee can score, Florida cannot, and I think they can clear a touchdown. So I'm going the Vols.
Yeah, my notes on this, I have Tennessee is good, Florida is not. 6.5 seems pretty low. I think Tennessee minus 6.5, and it's the easy pick. All right, TCU minus 7 at Houston.
So I'm going with the Cougars here. The Cougars boned me last week because I had them to beat Rice, which they had like beaten Rice like 9 times in a row or whatever. But I'm going back on the wagon. I'm taking the Cougars plus the 7. They're at home, night game, national TV, Fox. This is their first game in the Big 12, in-state rival. I just think that hopefully carry them through. I think TCU is still a little wobbly from their shellacking that Dion gave them on opening day. So I'm just going to go with the red wave of the Cougars on their debut for the Big 12. So Go Cougs.
Yeah, I'm taking them as well. Yeah, like you mentioned with Rice, like that's a stinker. You never want to lose to Rice. So they're gonna come out fired up. I think TCU is better, but like I said, they're coming out fired up. Houston is to make up for last week. So yeah, Houston +7. I also wouldn't be shocked if they won outright. So. All right, Colorado State at number 18, Colorado. Colorado's -24.
Well, I don't have much to say about the Rams. Although Colorado, you think, would come back down to earth at some point in time. However, I'm sure Connor was going to mention this, but Jay Norvell, the coach of Colorado State, was calling out Deion for wearing his hat and sunglasses during interviews. So I thought Colorado would probably win by 14 or 17 before that, and now Deion's going for the jugular. So I'm going to take the Buffaloes to cover.
Yeah. Yeah, Colorado State stinks. I'm pretty sure they got their dicks blown off week 1. I forget who they played, but yeah, it wasn't close. 23, or I guess 24 is a lot of points, but Colorado State stinks, and Colorado is them. So, yeah, Colorado -24, but like you always said, a smart bettor would move it to 23.5.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a high number, no matter how you move it.
But yeah, I think Colorado State just is that bad. Yeah, and then like you say with the coach
and game days coming to Boulder.
Okay.
Although that's early Colorado time, so the fans are gonna have a long ass day. They're gonna have to take a nap midday between game day and the game time. So we'll see what kind of endurance they have, and the fans have to deal with the thin air up there in Colorado. So you got to be hungover all day and the thin air. We'll see if they have what it takes.
Well, it doesn't affect the players; they'll be fine. All right, move on to our college football locks. Connor has BYU at Arkansas. He's got a teaser with Arkansas -2.5 and over 41.5. I don't know why he picks it, but I mean, it doesn't seem to -110 seems like decent odds, so I could roll with it. You have Tennessee at Florida, with the lock being Tennessee -6.5.
Yeah, I already mentioned that. I kind of struggled to find a lock this week. I didn't like as many games as I did last week, which maybe it turns out better because I think last week I one game above 500 or maybe one game below 500. So maybe it's better. I don't like as many games on the slate this week, but the Vols are what I decided on, and I spoke about it earlier, so I'll just let that do the talking for me.
Yeah, like I said earlier when we talked about this game, I think this is the easy pick anyway. So yeah, I like this one a lot. Mine is Western Michigan at Iowa, and I got a teaser with Western Michigan +34.5 and under 48.5. And I know you have this as one of your tidbit games,
Yep.
So I'm sure I'm stealing some information here, but Iowa's offense is donkey dick. It's not good ever. They had one game last year where they scored they scored 33 points, was the highest they scored last year. And that obviously wouldn't cover a 34.5 even if they shut them out. Only one of their games last season went over 48.5, which was a 54-10 loss to Ohio State. So, I mean, I just don't think Iowa scores them. I mean, Western Michigan's going to score at least once maybe, but I don't think Iowa can put up the points to
Have you seen
for this.
or heard about the offensive coordinator's contract at Iowa?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I think they said like the first game they had like 20 at halftime and they got to score like 40 or something. What's the number they need to score?
Well, we'll segue into my picks,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
it's a pretty funny deal.
Yeah.
More to come.
All right. Your tidbits. First game, LSU at Mississippi State +10.
Yeah, we touched on that already. I think the Cowbells will be banging early. I don't think Mississippi State's going to win, but I think, Will Rogers is a good quarterback. So I think whether they backdoor this or just, hang with them, I think 10's a good number there. So I'm going with the Bulldogs.
Iowa State -3 at Ohio.
Yeah, so this kind of jumped out to me as a pretty low number. for Big 12 versus the MAC. Last year, these two teams played, I guess, as part of their first game of the dealio between the programs. 43-10, Iowa State beat Ohio last year. They outgained them 2-1 in yards, 460 to 230, and they forced 4 Bobcat turnovers. And another thing, since we're talking about gambling, last year Iowa State's quarterback was suspended for this season because he was gambling on his own games. So they have a new quarterback who's a true freshman, I believe. Maybe he's a redshirt, but anyway, he's the son of Battlehawks coach Anthony Becht. And last week he got a little taste of some games against the Hawkeyes. They ended up losing, but by all accounts, he played pretty well for his first big game. So I think the 3. I mean, I'm even liking the 3 so much, I'm leaving it at 3. I'm not even moving it to 2.5.
Ballsy. Yeah, going back to your Anthony Becht thing, we had the Iowa game on last week, and they put the little like stat line next to the scoreboard, like 10 for 12 or whatever, 100 yards, and it said something like the first name Becht, and I was like, oh, that's the Battlehawks last name. Like, I wonder if that's any relation. And then like 2 minutes later, they jumped to like a picture of him in the stands, and so I was like, oh, okay. And also, his wife is a yummy. She's yummy. give her a Google afterwards. Yeah, she's nice.
Yummy.
Okay, Georgia Southern. So last week, Wisconsin fell victim to my super dog, the Cougars of Washington State. So I'm going against the Badgers once again. Georgia Southern. I just think it's a big number for Wisconsin. They have a little bit of the same trashiness that Iowa has sometimes with being unable to score. Georgia Southern last week beat UAB 49-35. UAB is now head by Trent Dilfer, former Super Bowl winning quarterback. Week 1, Wisconsin kind of limped along against Buffalo, and then, like I said, last week they went across the country and lost to Washington State awfully handily. Georgia Southern's 2-0. I just think it's a big number, so I'm riding with those boys from Georgia.
All right, Liberty -3 at Buffalo.
Okay, Liberty.
Also, before you get into this, I feel like we should from now on, we should have Connor tell us what these teams are, because I feel like he would struggle with some of these logos.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Listen, I Sneeze sent his tidbits, and I looked him up. Now, I couldn't tell you where Liberty is. Probably in the Northeast.
Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay. Also, you said UAB and Trent Dilfer. Isn't UAB at HBCU? What is Trent Dilfer doing as a coach?
No, they're not at HBCU. I don't believe.
Oh, they're not. Okay.
Anyways, so I just spoke about Buffalo hanging with Wisconsin, which this is going to make Wisconsin sound even worse hanging with Buffalo's. Buffalo lost to Fordham last week from the FCS. Fordham's like in Bronx, New York, or some northeast freaking team. I didn't know they had a football team, but they lost to Fordham. So I'm taking
them on my NCAA game, like basketball game. I always pick to play against them, like in my schedule, because they were always so terrible. This was back like 2005.
Yeah, I know they play basketball in the same conference as SLU. They're in the A10 in basketball with like SLU, VCU, Dayton, et cetera, which is like that's a basketball only conference for the most part, I believe. Anywho, Buffalo, like I said, just lost to Fordham. Liberty been pretty good of late, and now Hugh Freeze, as was their coach last couple of years. Of course, he's at Auburn now, and they got Jamie Chadwell, who put Coastal Carolina football on the map. So I'm going to take Jamie Chadwell's Liberty Flames by 3 over Buffalo. Again, so confident I'm leaving it at 3.
All right, Western Michigan at Iowa.
Okay, we touched on this a little bit ago. Let me see where I'm at here. Okay, so that contract situation. So Kirk Ferentz is the head coach at Iowa. He's old as shit. And his son is the offensive coordinator. And last couple of years, Iowa's been pretty good, but their offense has been so trash. Like, they'll win games like 10-3 or whatever. So the fans are getting so pissed. So they finally said, okay, Iowa needs to average. I think the number is 24. If
It's
they average
24. This is
24
one of my
points a
favorite
game-
storylines, by the way.
Yeah.
I love this.
If they average 24 points a game, they'll renew his contract, and I guess his contract renews in 2-year increments. And if they average less than 24 points, then his contract's over in the summer, which means he's not going to be coaching next year.
They got to win
Ridiculous.
7 games, too.
So I think that Iowa's 2-0. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
But I believe each time they have not exceeded 24 points, which
That's
does
correct.
give me a little bit of pause here, because if you think they have a possibility to run up the score, you think they want to take advantage. But I just don't think they're capable to clear that number by too much. And like Casey said, I think Western Michigan should be a decent enough club to fall over the end zone at least once. So then that would put Iowa to have to score 35. I just don't think they can score 35. Contract be damned. So I'm going to go with the Broncos to cover the spread here.
So when does that contract get activated? Like, when does he get fired after so many games, or is it the whole season?
No, it's the whole
Don't
season.
renew him.
His contract doesn't extend to next year if they don't meet that criteria. And I wonder, like, what if they ended up going like 10-2 and won the Big Ten West and like lost to Michigan in the Big Ten title? Are they gonna be like, well, he's fired? So I don't know, but
I mean, you got
It's
up.
and it's the coach's son.
I believe the mark is 25. They scored 24 in their first game, 22 last game. But Western Michigan, I think, only put up a touchdown against a far inferior opponent last week. I can't remember who they played, but they only scored 7 points.
Yeah.
I believe. So I think I would take the other side, but this is your segment, but that's just my 2 cents.
This was my lock, was a teaser 34.5 and then under 48.5.
That's smart. Okay, so here I'm going with the Mountaineers of Appalachian State. They're at home in Boone. That place likes to get crazy. Eastern Carolina, they lost week 1 to Michigan. Can't blame them, 33-3. And then lost to Marshall, who's pretty mid, 31-13. The game's in Boone. Last week, Appalachian State went toe-to-toe with North Carolina. They have Drake Mays. He's top 3 NFL quarterback prospect. They went toe-to-toe with him. They lost in overtime. And interestingly enough, they went toe-to-toe and lost a close game, like 63-61 to North Carolina last year. So you're like, oh, man, they're going to be heartbroken. They could have taken down their in-state rival, the big flagship of their state. So, oh, man, they're going to be heartbroken. Last year after that heartbreaking loss, they came out next week, beat Texas A&M in College Station. So obviously they have bounce back factor. So I'm taking them to bounce back again, clearing the 10 points over ECU. So I'm going with App State.
Did you say a top 3 NFL prospect?
Yeah.
QB?
Yeah, I think it's like Caleb Williams, and then I guess the Sanders, Deion's kids up there now, but I don't know if he's draft eligible this year. And
Notre Dame guy?
Yeah, he's I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be a first round top of the line guy. I guess we'll see, but
yeah.
I don't know if he's got the athleticism that they want in the league, but anyways, we'll see. Okay, this is my favorite. So
FIU
I have a little love affair brewing with FIU.
Yeah, you do.
So if we go back before we started this podcast, well, I guess that was Saturday of week 0. I mistakenly took Louisiana Tech to beat FIU. I guess mistakenly, Louisiana Tech ended up winning, but FIU was ahead the whole game, and they kind of let it slip away and lost to Louisiana Tech in week 1, kind of a heartbreaker. So FIU lost. They had a quarterback that played, and he was, let me check the stats here. His name is Grayson James. I'm calling him out. He was 5 for 14 for 4 passing yards.
I was going to say, didn't he have 4 yards?
Yeah, against Louisiana Tech. So
he's going to hear about this tomorrow.
Enter my guy, the next game. Enter my guy by the name of Keon James, but his name is spelled Keyone. So I'm sure he wants to be called Keon, but I'm calling him Keyone James.
Keyone.
So I did a little digging on this cat.
That's probably
He came in their second game, and they played against Maine, which I touched on this last week because I had FIU plus 12 against North Texas, and They didn't just cover the plus 12. They won outright big over North Texas by a score of
I think they won by 12.
46-39 as
Yeah.
12-point underdogs. So, anyways, back to Key One. He played his first game against Maine. He went 292 and 2 touchdowns. Keep in mind the starting quarterback of the year threw for 4 yards. So Key One comes in. He throws for 292 his first game, and he throws for 291 last week. He had 1 touchdown, 2 picks last week against North Texas. And so this guy, true freshman from Miami, he's playing for his hometown school, 5'11", 190. So he's a little guy, but he has heart, obviously.
Yeah.
So they're going up to UConn, 8-point dogs. And I thought about making this my super dog, but we'll see. So anyways, he's from Miami. Obviously, he likes the warm weather, but it's not quite cold in UConn yet. So I'm saying it's going to be warm enough. Key One's going to do his thing. UConn not off to a good start. They lost last week to Georgia State by a score of 35-14. They were down 28-0 after 3 quarters. So UConn, unimpressive. FIU, they found their guy in Key One. He's a true freshman. He's ready to take off. So I'm going with the Panthers in my long-winded +8 answer.
Love it.
All right, TCU at Houston.
Okay.
Oh,
We touched on this last week. Like I said, Houston was on my shit list because they lost to Rice. And I was dogging JT Daniels because he went to 4 different schools and sucked at all 4. He actually had his career day against Houston last week. So chalk that up as some BS. But anyways, like I said, this game's on Fox. It's at night. Houston, first Big 12 game. I think they'll ride the momentum and come out with, I don't know if I'm ready to call it a victory. Teebs was calling for it, but I'm thinking the 7.5 is pretty safe.
All right, last case.
And then sadly I was mulling over the score. I feel like 27-20 is still kind of high scoring for what I was thinking it's going to be. I just think that Kansas State is going to win because they're just – I just feel like they're not going to fuck up, and Mizzou's going to fuck up, whether it be penalties or allowing teams to convert on 3rd and 12 or, fucking missing field goals. I just feel like we have too much ability to mess things up, and Kansas State is just a solid bunch from the farm. I hope I'm wrong. It's the first sellout we've had since 2019. The fan base is really leaning against Drinkwitz now, and they're super leaning against Brady Cook. So those 2 guys need to win bad to get some people back on their side. So I'm hoping I'm wrong here, but I just don't see a world that we win this game. I think the spread's bouncing between 3 and 5 back and forth, depending on where you look. If I had to pick, I'd pick Kansas State minus the points, but no wager on this game. But yeah, hopefully by 2:30 on Saturday, we're happy campers. But I don't know. I just feel like it's too good to be true. After last year, I'm pretty scarred.
Did you break down last week, Arnie?
Last week. Well, I can touch on that. Yeah, I think I picked 38-13 against Middle Tennessee, which, okay, we won by 4. I think it was 23-19. So it seems like I was way off, which I guess if you look at the numbers, I was way off. But Drinkwitz has a fucking tampon between his legs sometimes. We were up by a score of 23-10, driving 4th and 1 on Middle Tennessee's 45 or 40, something like that, and he decides to punt. We could have been looking at 30-10, which isn't too far off from 38-13. But instead we decide to punt, and then they convert umpteen 3rd and 4th downs to come and score. We had them stopped on 4th and goal from the 8, but they had a false start. So then they backed them up to the 4th and goal from the 13, which I knew at that point they're going to fucking get it now. Sure enough, they did. I was fucking screaming my head off because I was pissed. And then, so we're winning by 6 points now because Mevis missed a fucking field goal, extra point. And then we're like, all right, well, here it is. 5 minutes left. We got to salt the game away. Next thing you know, Brady Cook's rolling out and the ball slips out of his goddamn hands and goes into the end zone for a safety. Luckily, he was able to fall on it, or else they would have fallen on it and fucking took the lead because they would have made their extra point. So, man, it was just conservative play led to stupidity, and that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I just feel like we don't like to play clean games anymore, and Kansas State does like to play clean games. So, I'm just going with the Wildcats there.
Did you see Rico? It took Kansas State minus 5.5.
I did not. Is that was that in the Barstool Pickem show or whatever?
And yeah, he's notoriously bad at gambling, so maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it just means Mizzou covers 5.5, but
he's also a K-State fan.
Yeah, he is. But maybe that's a good sign. All right, your super dog.
So my super dog. So this game is actually
Oh, I like
Friday
that super
night.
dog.
So if you're listening to it, you better break out this gambling app pretty quick. So 10. I think the line's 9.5 somewhere, and it's 10 somewhere, but it's my super dog. So you want it to be higher because you're taking money line on the Aggies of Utah State, and let me tell you why. So last 2 consecutive years they played, of course, they're conference foes in the Mountain West. Utah State won both times. Utah State previously, earlier this year, hung with Iowa, which we've talked about Iowa's flaws already. And then last week they beat Idaho State by 50, which you're like, who the fuck is Idaho State? They're in the FCS. However, Idaho State, that same Idaho State team, only lost to San Diego State by 8. So San Diego State only beat them by 8. Utah State beat them by 50. Air Force last week, they played Sam Houston, which is Sam Houston's a new team into the FCS. Or I guess they're in the FBS from the FCS, but you know what I mean. They only won 13-3. Of course, Air Force, they're military academy. They like to run a lot. 59 rushes, and they passed 1 completion and 3 attempts.
Oof.
So I just think that that's too many points, and I think there's tremendous value on Utah State, who's beat them the last 2 times, to win at Air Force. Like I said, Utah State, they hung with the Big Ten's Iowa. They smashed their opponent last week, who maybe not be a bad FCS team. Air Force Friday night. I just feel like it could be a low scoring game, but I like Utah to take the cake here. So Super Dogs going 2-0.
Nice. Connor, we're going to NFL next. I don't know if you want to touch on or give your picks for the games.
Yeah, I'll go through my picks real quick.
First one we had was LSU at Mississippi State. LSU is minus 9.5.
Yeah. My heart wants to go Mississippi State just because LSU is easy to dislike. Brian Kelly, no one likes him. But I'm going to take the Tigers to cover. If I remember right, I looked these over, but briefly, if I remember right, Mississippi State really hasn't played anybody. And, I think it's going to be a rude awakening. And LSU put up, 71 last week? So they got over their week 1 loss. They'll be ready for SEC play.
Well, Mississippi State played, according to Cameron, Pac-12 powerhouse Arizona. So
I didn't say they're a powerhouse. I just said the Pac-12 is not bad.
you implied it.
I don't remember seeing that, but
They played them last week. And
I didn't know they played Arizona. I thought they played a couple cupcakes, but either way, I think LSU will win by 10 plus.
All right, Washington at Michigan State. Michigan State is plus 16.5.
Yeah. I wanted to go Washington. Michigan State kind of in shambles at the moment. Washington's got a good offense, but their first pretty decent opponent, playing in the Big Ten and traveling west to east, and it's a big line, so I'll take Michigan State.
Okay. Tennessee at Florida. Tennessee is minus 6.5.
It won't hit, but I'll take Florida because I'm legally obligated not to bet on Tennessee. Tennessee is going to win by probably 2 touchdowns, but I'll take Florida.
Okay. TCU at Houston, and Houston is plus 7.
Yeah, Cameron talked about it. But I'm actually going to be on the opposite side. Houston looked terrible. TCU's put up 40 points 2 weeks in a row. Albeit one was against a bad Colorado defense, but still a good team. But yeah, I'll take TCU. Houston needs to figure some things out. You can't be losing to Rice.
Okay, and then last, Colorado State at Colorado. Colorado is -24.
Yeah, I mean, that line was huge. I was ready to give it to the Rams. I think they're the Rams.
Yeah.
But then their coach just came out and just boneheaded move. I forget what he even said.
Yeah, I mentioned that because I knew that you were going to say it. He was saying that it's unprofessional or impolite to wear sunglasses and hats.
Yeah, the hat and the sunglasses at the press conference, as if that matters one bit about the football game whatsoever. But yeah, just go ahead and give Prime some more motivation. Get his guys fueled up.
It's personal now.
Yeah, they're gonna hang 35 on them. So yeah, give me Colorado.
Okay, and then did you want to touch on your lock? Arkansas -2.5 and over 41.5, I think.
Yeah, another teaser. Remind me who they're playing. I gave this to you a few days ago. BYU, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a get right game for Arkansas. They've had a couple lackluster performances. First night game, I believe. They're at home. Place is gonna be rocking. Nothing really other than that. Teased it down to make it a little easier to hit. And I just think Arkansas is supposed to be the better team. I think they'll show they're the better team.
All right, that covers college football. We can go to NFL. First game, Baltimore at Bengals. Bengals are -3.5. And I don't care who wants to lead us off. I don't have any notes for you this time.
Connor, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll make it short. I'm taking the Ravens in this game. Bengals just looked brutal last week on offense. Couldn't do a thing. It was raining, whatever. It's a division game, whatever. It's another division game. Baltimore's defense is good. Granted, Baltimore didn't look great against Houston, against a way inferior opponent. But yeah, I think Baltimore wins the game. I believe Burrow was hurt going into the year last year and started 0-2. I don't know who they played against, but I think it's another slow start for them. They're going to be in one of the top teams in the AFC, but I'll take the Ravens.
You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going Ravens too. Joe Burrow fucking pissed me off last week because I needed Jamar Chase to get 50 yards. Should be easy. I needed Jamar Chase to score a touchdown. Should be easy. But he fucking sucked ass. I don't give a damn if it was against the Browns or in the rain or whatever it was, but my God, he was horrible.
Yeah. I mean, some of those passes were to nobody.
I guess he's back in the friendly confines of Cincinnati, but I just don't know how he's going to flip a switch from being so bad to be good enough to beat the Ravens at home, even because the Ravens are a solid club. The Ravens are kind of like Kansas State, where they're not going to fuck up because they just have their shit together. So I'm going Ravens.
I was surprised at the line, to be honest.
It should be.
I know the Bengals are at home, but
you thought it should be flipped?
I thought it'd be closer to even or maybe Ravens -1. It's just the two levels of play last week were so far apart.
Well, I mean, Baltimore played Houston. That's not that impressive. All right. Well, I'm taking Bengals -3.5. I think they got a lot to prove after last week's stinker. But I think this game should be pretty good overall. But yeah, Bengals -3.5. Also, a smart bettor moves it to 2.5.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right, Seattle at Detroit. Detroit's getting 5.5.
Yeah, I'll talk more about this one later. I mean, I don't have that much to back it up, but I'll be taking the Seahawks +5.5.
Yeah, I thought the Seahawks were a solid club, and then last week they shit the bed against the Rams, who nobody thought the Rams were going to be any good. I think there's a quarterback controversy in Seattle, but that's just me.
That is just you.
Yeah. Shoot. I mean, Detroit, the place is going to be rocking. And Gino, I don't know if Gino's going to handle it, so I'm going to go with the Lions by
Yeah,
more than 6.
I have that's what I have in my notes. Ford Field is going to be rocking. I think Goff rides his week 1 momentum. The Lions minus 5.5.
They're villains.
Yeah. All right, next up, Green Bay is getting 1.5 at Atlanta. There's plus 1.5 at Atlanta.
This one's tough. I think Jordan Love's going to come back down to earth a little bit. I think it's going to be right around where that line is. Falcons defense is better than people think. I know they just played Carolina last week, but I think they could just run the ball, play solid defense, and this game's over in 2.5 hours, and they win by 3. So I'll take Falcons minus 1.5.
I'm taking the Falcons as well. I made my speech about the Packers before. They're going to lose 6 in a row. So this is the first of 6. So Falcons in the ATL.
Touchdown Hawkinson.
Is it
Need an onside kick, please.
Shout out Cody Brown
Eagles
Betts
still
for
winning.
going 2 for 2 tonight.
Okay, back to this. I'm taking Packers plus 1.5. I wouldn't be surprised if they just win. Jordan Love's getting all his guys back receiving wise, and the Falcons don't really have a quarterback figured out. So Packers plus 1.5.
Watson's not practicing. Aaron Jones not practicing.
Okay, they got AJ Dillon.
What did he do last week?
Well, he didn't have to because Aaron Jones was playing.
Well, I mean, I saw some of those AJ
Plus
Dillon
1.5
carries.
money line. We'll see. Next up, Niners minus 7.5 at the Rams.
Oh, it just feels it's too easy. That's the reason I picked this game to debate about, because it's like you just want to like hit the easy button. 49ers minus 6.5, and just go home with your money. Rams look pretty good though. If Nakua misses, I think it makes the decision a lot easier. He missed practice today. But yeah, I'll take the 49ers. They just looked unstoppable last week. That defense is nasty, and the offense is good too. So I'll take 49ers.
I had a similar thought with like, it seems like, well, everyone in the world's taking the 49ers, but whenever you have 7.5, it's not easy because then you got to win by 2 scores. And, you know, how that is tricky sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Rams here. And similar to, I guess I was calling it about Mississippi State. I don't think they're going to win, but I think give me a little backdoor or something that I think 7.5 will get it done. So I'm taking LA.
I also like San Fran minus 7.5. I think the Rams were a fluke last week. I just don't think they're any good. Also, going back to Puka, I want his last name to be Nuka because it just would be so much more fun to say. It's Puka Nuka. That'd be so much better. Anyways,
I still enjoy Puka Nakua. It's still fun.
Yeah, I guess, but Puka Nuka would be so much
I never even heard it. Is he a rookie? I didn't even hear about him.
Yeah, he's a rookie.
Yeah, they said where he played, but I can't remember.
I think he played at BYU.
BYU, yeah.
All right, next up, Miami minus 2.5 at New England.
Sunday Night Football. Another tough one, division game. The line shows that it's another line that you would think would be higher, but the Patriots are involved. They just didn't cover last week, just 1 point. I mean, Belichick's gonna have a plan. He's certainly not just gonna let Tyreek Hill run past his safeties like the Chargers did every drive of the game. But 2.5. I'll take the Dolphins.
I'm taking the Dolphins too. I don't think you can have a plan to stop Tyreek because you can't. And I don't think this game is going to be as shitty as last Sunday night's game, which don't get me started on. However, I do think it's going to be a shitty game because you're going to look at it and it's going to be like fucking 24-3 at halftime, and you're going to be like, I'm going to bed. So I'm taking Miami easily.
I think the Dolphins with the healthy Tua are very scary. I mean, he's got two elite receivers there. The Patriots looked pretty good at times against Philly. I know they were down big to start, but then battled back. So you like to see that. I would lean Miami, but Frank is a Dolphin fan, and they're playing El Prez's team, and Frank can't have anything nice, so I'm going Patriots plus 2.5.
I think Frank deserves a bone after this baseball season. By the way, I said it last week, and I'll say it this week. Tua is good. I think he proved it, and as long as he can keep being protected, I think they're going to be a good team.
Stay healthy. They're scary.
Yeah. A couple of those throws were elite.
Yeah, and it's always so pretty coming from a lefty, too.
Yeah, I do like the lefty.
All right, Saints -3 at Carolina. One of the two Monday Night Football games, which is just poorly set up. But
yeah, next 2 weeks we got two Monday Night Football games, and they're playing at the same time.
Yeah,
give or take an hour. Doesn't make sense, but I digress. I'm taking the Saints. I mean, Bryce Young didn't show anything last week that let me know that he's ready to hang in there in an NFL football game. He's got no weapons. And
Mingo.
I like Mingo, but he didn't get him the ball. And he's wasting targets on 33-year-old Adam Thielen. So we'll keep Teebs as number one seed. Saints hot take going, and Saints -3.
Yeah, this game is fucking disgusting to look at for Monday Night Football, to be quite honest.
Take the under.
I'm taking the Saints because the Panthers suck ass.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about this game.
Yeah, I'm taking Saints -3 too. They didn't even play that well week one and still won. Bryce Young, like Connor said, I think he still needs some time to figure himself out. Don't overthink this one, Saints -3. But a smart better moves it to 2.5.
Yeah, they do.
All right, in the last Monday night game, Cleveland -2 at Pittsburgh.
Oh man, these NFL lines. Another one of those you just think easy button. Browns looked so good last week. Steelers looked terrible. But it's the Steelers. It's Mike Tomlin. It's prime time. No Deontay. I hate that they don't have Deontay. I think their offense is going to take a huge hit. But I think defense steps up.
Touchdowns since Nam. He ain't that big of a hit.
No, he is. And George Pickens, I mean, he's great player, but terrible attitude. Not a team guy. But I think the defense keeps him in it. They could sneak a late field goal and win it. So I'll take Steelers +2.
I'm going for the Steelers here, and I think they're gonna win outright. Deshaun, I guess they won okay last week against a shitty ass Joe Burrow performance, but terrible towel's gonna be waving, and it's gonna start ringing the bell of Deshaun Watson, and he's just gonna need a massage real bad. So I'm going with the Steelers.
Did you have Vikings +7.5?
No, I had Vikings to win,
Oh.
and I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay. You said you needed an onside kick, but I guess that's why.
I'm going the opposite way. I'm going Browns -2. Steelers looked terrible last week. I mean, granted, they played a good 49ers team, but still, they look terrible. The Browns shut down Joe Burrow. Out of here with that fucking stupid nickname. Like you touched on, Steelers are losing their best wide receiver. Najee sucks. The Browns -2, and I'd even be comfortable moving this to 9.5. Yeah, I think they dominate.
But can you pick it and get to 28 if he didn't go for 4 right now?
That's right. Well, I think he had 1 last week. He should have had 2. But yeah, he's gonna need. Give him 3 this game.
Well, we'll see. All right, let's move on to our locks. Connor's Seattle at Detroit, with the lock being Seattle plus 7.5 at minus 172. Talk about fucking laying some juice.
Yeah. Not as hot as last week's pick, but it's just a classic scenario of week 1, everyone's overreacting. We had the hype for the Lions all off season long. They come out, they beat the Chiefs, barely beat the Chiefs. They didn't look that great. Their defense looks better. And then this Seattle comes out and lays a stinker. Pete Carroll, say what you want about him. He's a goofy dude, but he's a great coach. He's proven that. He's going to have them ready. They got to travel. Yes, Ford Field's going to be rocking, but they'll be ready for that, and they're not going to lose by more than a touchdown.
Cameron's Bears at Bucks, with the Bucks team total over 20.5 at minus 115.
Yeah, so my thinking here, the Bears are horrible. They let the Packers get a bajillion points last week. Baker's, not a bad little QB there. I did do my research. There is a little bit of rain in the forecast there in Tampa, so you'd think, oh, well, maybe, everything's going under. However, we need 3 touchdowns, so it's going to be a little dicey field goal kicking weather, so they're going to stay out on the field, go for those extra 4th downs, and they'll get 3 touchdowns, and we'll cross our fingers that we can get 3 extra points to go along with it. And the Buccaneers will score 21.
Okay. I like it.
Mine, I have Giants at Cardinals, with lock being Giants minus 6.5 at plus 118. I think the line is like maybe 4.5, but I move it. Giants are going to come out mad in a red hen after Sunday's embarrassing loss. The Cardinals stink. This is an easy pick.
I like it.
All right, do something a little different. We'll have.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. And then this week we'll be ranking beer.
I'm fucking hyped for this shit.
Yeah, I was excited to give my reasoning on these things. All right, so we'll start with Connor. Do you want me to go like one by one or show the whole list, or?
You can show the whole list.
All right. So at 5, you got PBR, 4 Bud Light, 3 Corona, 2 Blue Moon, and 1 Yingling.
Nice. This just makes me want a cold beer. So yeah, I'm looking at 2 things. I'm looking at flavor, and I'm looking at heaviness, like how full it makes you feel. I can't think of the word.
You got the right number at 1 then, shit. And 2.
Well, I don't want it to make me feel full. That's the point. But, Yingling, it just tastes so good. It's still a lager. It doesn't fill you up. We'll get into the Cameron's feud with Yingling. I mean, they used to be best buddies, but yeah, Yingling number 1. Blue Moon tastes phenomenal. The only thing is it's a little bit heavy, but in terms of flavor, it's probably number 1 on the list. Corona, I like the flavor Corona has that little like weird aftertaste to it, which bumps it down to 3 on this list.
That's the way all Mexican beer is.
Yeah, it's got that little thing in there that gives you a little weird flavor. If you're drinking the extras, they're also going to be a little bit, fill you up a little bit. So number 3 for Corona. Bud Light and PBR, in terms of heaviness, they're about the same, but Bud Light's going to taste a little bit better. So there's your 4 and 5.
I just want to say, who on earth goes through their rankings 1 to 5? You go 5 to 1.
No, I
start the worst and work your way to the best.
I just was craving a good beer, and I wished I had a Yingling in my hand. And I saw it down there, and that's where I went for it.
Fair enough. All right, you want
Now I
to
need.
go
What'd you say?
one or show the whole list?
Go one by one for me.
I like going one by one too. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, coming in at 5, you have PBR.
Okay, PBR. I will say off the top that that's the best looking label on the board by far.
Yeah, it is.
The ribbon is sick. The red, white, and blue is sick. The brown bottle's sick. Anyways, out of these 5 beers on the list, it's one that I honestly, surprisingly, haven't had in a while. The other ones I've had quite recently, but PBR. I mean, it's great value. Obviously, it's usually one of the cheapest ones that you could buy. But something about the taste is just off for me. Initially, when I had it in my younger years, I didn't really mind it, but something about it is just off. So that's why it's last. So sorry.
All right, 4, Corona.
Number 4, we kind of touched on it a moment ago with that Mexican beer flavor. I'm not a huge fan of it. But I do love the clear glass bottle, and I do love mixing it with a lime. This is a good summer day kind of drink, but it's not something that I would buy personally. But I think it tastes better with a lime than PBR does. So that's why it's 4 there.
Okay,
And 3, Yingling. So Yingling's a little more commonplace around these parts now. And man, me and Yingling had some good times back in the day. I was drinking them 2 at a time. And looking back, I don't know how I did that because those things are heavier than hell. The regular Yingling, they're like dark brown red. It's just heavy as hell.
Yeah, but they're not heavy.
It's heavy as hell. Like
No.
we went to Florida.
It's a lager.
We went to Florida a couple months ago, and we got off the plane and grabbed some Yingling, and before bed had a couple, and I drank like 3 of them, and I was like, drinking my last couple sips of my 3rd one, I was like, I'm going up to bed. I was like, and I woke up with a similar feeling that I get whenever I drink Stag, like you get hit by a fucking bag of bricks after you have a couple Yinglings. And so I like the Yingling Light. Maybe I don't know what happened between 22, 23-year-old me versus now, but Yingling it hits hard. I don't think it tastes terribly bad. I don't think it tastes bad at all, really. But the drinkability, I just don't find the drinkability anymore. So that's why it's down a peg. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of it at this point in time. But I'm not like I said, I don't buy Corona and I don't buy PBR. So that's why I just slid Yingling kind of in the middle of the pack here. So number 2, Blue Moon. This is heavy as hell. This is even heavier. There's once
Way heavier.
There's one time my story about Blue Moon is during the COVID times. Corey and I went to a Mizzou basketball game against the Volunteers of Tennessee, and we went to a bar pregame, and the waitress comes around, and we're there a couple hours before the game, so I was like, fuck it, let's get a pitcher. So he got a pitcher, I got a pitcher, and for some dumb reason, I got a pitcher of Blue Moon, and I could have fucking floated away like a hot air balloon after that thing. And man, after that, went to the game. We got smoked by Tennessee. And then I was driving home, and that time the headache had already hit me. And oh man, it was a rough night. So anyways, like I said, Blue Moon, take it in small increments. Give yourself an orange to go along with it. The taste is very good whenever those 2 things are present. So that's why I slotted it at number 2. And regretfully, Bud Light number 1. I know it's kind of taken its hit over the last couple of months, but if you look at the 5 choices here, it's probably the second cheapest. It's definitely the best tasting. It's easy to drink multiple. It's ever present. I just like the good old regular shit nowadays. Natty Light, Bush Light, Bush. But Bud Light was on the list, so I picked it. Like I said, it's taking its lumps a little bit. So honestly, I don't buy it at this point in time. But I'm kind of waiting for it to rebuild its image a little bit, but outside of that, it's the clear number one on this book. I mean, you take it 6 months ago, and it's far and away the number one beer in America for a reason. So that's why I'm sticking at the top spot.
All right. I also have PBR at 5. I don't have any reason to put this any higher. It's not a very good beer. The only time I've ever had this is at getting that hell of a deal at Hooters. What is it, like a big ass glass of it for like $2 or something? I don't know. I remember we went to a baseball game and the Cardinal game for Fisher's birthday.
Dude, I feel like I remember $2 PBRs for sure.
It's a good deal. Yeah, it's a good deal. So shout out Hooters, good beer deals.
That's why we go there.
Say it again.
That's why we go to Hooters.
Well, yeah. Only reason we go. For Corona, I don't really have any reason to dislike this, to put it so low, but it just wouldn't be my first choice at a bar. Like we said, the taste is refreshing every now and then. I don't want a ton of them. It basically is only good for when you're going to a Mexican restaurant and got the chips and salsa, and you're just casually sipping on it. What's up, Bennett?
What's up, baby B?
Got anything to say about Corona?
Just give him 10 more years, he's all over it.
All right, 3. I got Blue Moon. This is like we've said, it's a nice, refreshing taste. We pair it with an orange. It's solid. I don't personally want a ton of them, like back to back to back. It just, I don't know. After a while, the flavor is just like you get that too much of its sensation, so you just kind of want to move on. But other than that, it's a solid beer. 2, Bud Light. It's a classic. You really can't go wrong drinking it. It's, like Cameron said, it's kind of taking its backlashes here, but just move on. It's a good beer. Just drink it. And 1
brand starts with us.
Right, sure. 1 Yingling. Love this beer. It's kind of getting more local nowadays, like Cameron said, but before that, it was pretty hard to come by for the St. Louis area. But if you ever get the chance, or for me at least, if I ever get the chance to have one, I'm taking one. And then I also put it at 1. If I'm lining up all these beers and they're all lined up for me to pick one, I'm taking Yingling 100 times out of 100. So.
Now, would you say that Yingling is heavy, Teeps?
No,
it's not heavy.
It is.
It's a lager.
It's a cumulative effect, man.
No,
it's heavy. It's more of a wintertime kind of vibe for me, because the summer in Yingling, I just feel the headache coming on whenever I think of that. So
I might be bringing some next weekend.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like I said. Maybe it's just I'm just getting too old. But man, like I said, it isn't as hard hitting as Blue Moon's harder hitting, and Stag also. But yeah, Yingling can wear on somebody. So look out.
It does have that like beery taste to it, but it's I don't know. It's kind of like too much at the same time, but it's also like it kind of hits nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean by the headache. Like you do get that like beery taste, and you're like, yeah, I can feel a headache coming.
Yeah, and I feel like it's. I mean, no one ever wants to drink non-cold beer, but I feel like Yingling, as it's fallen a little bit towards room temperature, that's tough work getting that down. So
I can see that.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. All right, that's all I got. Any other points you want to point out?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Did we talk about parlaying our college football locks again?
No, I just had the thing saying we were all 1-0, but yeah, we got you a nice winner if you tailed.
Yeah, winners, and I think NFL's worth it too. Teebs is plus 118 is gonna bring that minus 172 down a little bit. So hey,
there's a quarterback controversy in Seattle though, so
Drew Lock can throw.
Well, your bet's more likely to hit if he does come in, but that's just me.
That's just you.
All right. Good episode.
Until next time.